Hello, viewers. We're going to take a look today at something a little bit aside from politics, but not quite. Hang with me on this one. We're going to take a look at Eddie Lampert and Steve Mnuchin. Eddie Lampert was chairman, CEO of Sears Holding Corporation, which is Sears, Kmart, Lands' End, I think there's a few other smaller companies, and with that, I'm drawing a blank on at the moment. Steve Mnuchin was Eddie Lampert's college roommate. During Steve's confirmation hearings, Eddie was sitting right behind him with his family. So they go way back. Eddie was a hedge fund, or is a hedge fund billionaire. He rarely came into the Sears buildings. I'll have to back up a second. Before I got into doing readings full-time, I did readings part-time on weekends and worked in corporate America. And my last job before I started doing readings full-time was with Sears Holding at the corporate headquarters. And one of the things that Eddie did while I was there was spun off this company called Seritage Growth Properties. Seritage Growth Properties, he dumped 266 stores, the ownership of those stores into the Seritage Growth Properties. Now, spinning it off into the separate company, he protected it from any creditors during a possible Sears bankruptcy. Sears had not filed bankruptcy at the time, but we all knew it was coming, right? At one time at Sears, in their corporate headquarters, there were probably 5,000 to 7,000 executives in multiple buildings, a huge complex. So this lawsuit that he has, Steve Mnuchin, by the way, was on the board of directors for Sears. He stepped down from the board when he was named as Treasury Secretary. But he's still a stakeholder. He's still a shareholder. So the lawsuit claims that Mnuchin, or Lampert, Eddie Lampert, undervalued the 266 stores real estate by $649 million. So he did like Trump does. He undervalued the real estate to spin it off. And now it's like worth a lot more. He's going to make his money off the real estate, is what he's hoping, without having to use any of that real estate to pay off creditors in bankruptcy. In addition, in this lawsuit, it says that $649 million is part of a $2 billion in assets that he transferred to himself and other shareholders, one being Steve Mnuchin. Mr. Foreclosure King, right? He knows all the games of real estate and how to do this. $2 billion in assets transferred to Eddie Lampert and his other shareholders at a time where thousands and thousands of people were getting laid off. When I worked there, every year it was like another 150, another 200 stores, all those people, store line help, all getting fired. Or laid off, reducing warehouse staff, corporate executives. They kept downsizing. They kept shrinking how many buyers there were and how many assistant buyers there were, and all the support teams kept shrinking it and putting more responsibility on whoever was left, to the point where some of the buildings, it was, there were like 7 buildings interconnected in this one big atrium. To where you could go on certain floors and you'd see maybe one person, where there should be hundreds, you would see like one person. So all these people that lost their source of income, some had been with the company 30 years or more. I was only with them for a couple of years when I was laid off, so no big deal, right? But there were some really long-term people. They're also trying to screw around with the pension plan. The old-timers that were there, the ones that had been there 20, 30, 40 years, there was a pension plan. When Eddie came in, they set up 401ks They did not force the old timers to move the money into 401ks and left the pension plan, but now they're messing around with the pension plan also. But putting my notes aside, and Artie seems to be settled down behind me a little bit, so let's look at first Eddie Lampert. How's this court case going to go for you? $2 billion in assets you've transferred to yourself. He ran the company in the ground. He just ran it in the ground. The oldest retailer in the United States and probably the largest at one time. He gave himself a lot of money. He gave himself a lot of money. Well, here's Eddie making plans right now for this lawsuit. So he's still scheming and conniving. His challenge is staying quiet and going within. His challenge is also the death of Sears. The death of Sears. This guy looks like he's on a coffin, right? The death of Sears Holdings. This is a huge institution in retail. Huge institution in retail. And Eddie has put up smoke screens and been deceptive in his practices with them. Crowning the reading, he's been quite successful at doing this, but also feels like some quick action is coming in. Eddie's showing up here as new beginnings, but also foolish. You know, he was successful. It's now the end of a cycle. It's the end of Sears also, end of a cycle. He's trying to climb to higher ground, but he's in defense mode now. Death, again, another end of a cycle, a big change coming in this lawsuit. And I feel like he's going to make a counter proposal because they've got the details of all his work that he did. And apparently it feels like he's done this before. You know, this work card, it's about doing the same thing every day. You know, it can be a little bit about repetition as well. And it feels like he's done this before. We know Steve Mnuchin, Foreclosure King, has done some shady things before also, but let's focus on Eddie here. He's got a proposal that he's putting forward and a plan that he's putting forward. Yeah, he's waiting on his harvest because there's just so many possibilities. You know, he could sell off this prime real estate and make a big money on it. He's waiting on his harvest, but now he's burdened with this lawsuit. Ooh, he's going away into isolation. I think he might be looking at some jail time here. He's going to be packing his bags and going into isolation. Yeah, Sword of Truth coming up. Yeah, I'm asking, is he going to serve jail time? I've got two aces, Sword of Truth and Ace of Cups. That tells, in good news card, that tells me, yeah, he's going to serve jail time. Let's just check with my pendulum. I like to ask my pendulum sometimes after I've read cards or before. So, Will Eddie Lampert serve jail time? Oh, that's a yes. That's a yes. Yeah, he's going to go to jail. Good. Now, let's look at Steve Mnuchin for his part in all this. Because I guarantee you he's the real estate guru. I guarantee you he was guiding Eddie on how to spin off this Seritage Growth Properties. And he's named in the lawsuit. So, Steve Mnuchin, how's this going to work out for you? You going to jail too, and are you going to have to give up your treasury position? You tried to stop Congress from getting Trump's tax returns, but now $2 billion in assets. Yeah, all the illusions. That property's not worth $649 million, or that property's not worth over $1 billion. It's only worth $649 million. Undervaluing properties, illusions. Yep, he knew how to do that. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So here's Mnuchin with a moneyed proposal to Eddie Lampert. His challenges the law. Rushing in, doing this quickly, getting this real estate transferred. He thought it was a brilliant idea. A little immature Steve Mnuchin thought it was a brilliant idea in the past. Bonding with Eddie. Near future, it's kind of interesting. I was trying to feel, is this Trump or is this Mnuchin feeling content? And I feel like this is Trump. And here's why, as I laid clarifiers. Trump, he's the messenger for Trump. There's going to be an end to that. There's going to be a big change with that. He's charging him with a plan, but that's also a travel card for me. I'm feeling travel on that. Let's see. Yeah, he's a star player in this lawsuit because of who he was in bed with, Eddie Lampert. The money proposal, the money that they made, the money they stashed. There's going to be more illumination on this. I've got card of celebration. I'm feeling Nancy Pelosi's energy here, like she's looking at what Mnuchin is doing over the tax returns also. And the Emperor here, Emperor Trump. There's going to be more light shown on this. Yeah, having to do with the family money, and it's also the GOP card. Ooh, judgment coming down, out in the cold for his money. They're going to have communication records of Steve's involvement with this. Excuse me, he likes to be called Steven. He does not like to be called Steve. He planted a lot of seeds. This is something he gave birth to, and He's trying to protect it, but now he's burdened. So, not getting a clear card here. Steve Mnuchin, are you going to serve jail over this lawsuit with Sears? That's a yes. That's a yes. That was a smaller yes, so I'm going to say probably less jail time. John, thank you for suggesting this reading. We've been going back and forth in comments for a little bit, and I didn't tell John I actually worked for Sears. He was following the case, so I'm going to stop there for now. Want to do some other videos today too, but thank you for watching. This may be our way of getting Mnuchin out of there, right? Couldn't say it was happening to a nicer guy, right? So thanks for watching. Click the thumbs up if you like that, and subscribe to see future videos. Bye bye.